evening. It's Wednesday, the 1st of May, I believe. And if you're watching live, my name's Jan Moss, and I am doing my Midweek Mojo with Jan, which I do every Wednesday evening at 7:15, give or take a few minutes due to technology. Hope you're doing good. Now, I don't know if you know already, but I help ladies to become abundant in their retirement by multiple streams of income, by choosing something they can do in their spare time when they're still working, maybe, or even if they've already finished work, and they can find an extra income stream to be able to carry on doing the things that they really want to do in retirement, and they're not just sort of not being able to do anything because they haven't got any money. So tonight I'm going to be talking about something which is quite dear to my heart, which is how to become a bookkeeper. And for those of you who know me personally, you will know that that's what I do in addition to this business, helping other people. So I've definitely got first-hand experience with this one, and I'm very happy to take any questions about how it all works. I'll just switch the comments on. There we go. Do ask live if you have any questions. If I can't see them, then I will. That's strange. It's saying not go live. If I can't see them, then I will definitely do them afterwards. So make sure that you pop your questions in, and I will get back to you whenever I can to answer the questions. So, how to become a bookkeeper and what is a bookkeeper, basically. So I'm sure pretty much all of you really know what a bookkeeper is. And it's not just a second-rate accountant, I have to tell you that. I know a few people think of that bookkeepers as that, and it's not just shuffling numbers. It's a very exciting profession as well. And I've seen some comments in groups about how accountancy is boring and the people are boring. Well, you know, I guess if you can have ladies with pink hair that go metal detecting, and well, maybe some people think that's boring, but yeah, I mean, it's not like it used to be. It's not just sitting in an office with cobwebs on and not talking and stuff like that, especially not bookkeeping. I don't know about. Oh, hi, I've got a friend on live, Denise. Hi, how are we doing? And Denise is also a bookkeeper, or you class as an accountant, Denise, do say. Yeah, so when I first heard about a job, I was looking at doing some part-time work as a secretary, because that was, I was originally trained in business studies and in fact secretarial studies, a degree in secretarial studies. And I was offered an interview for a job with an accountant, and I thought exactly that it was going to be really boring, that they were going to be really fuddy-duddy and everything else. But then the lady who offered me the interview said that one of the accountants was a magician in his spare time and an entertainer. So I thought, coming from an entertainment background, I thought it can't be that boring then if the showbiz people in there. So I was quite intrigued, and I went along, and they were lovely. They were really lovely people, and like, you know, just normal. They weren't really sort of falling asleep and cobwebs and stuff like that. So don't believe everything here. Obviously, I think if you're in an accountancy practice, there can often be a little bit more traditional and staid, but not necessarily. That's a generalization. But going back to what is a bookkeeper, so a bookkeeper is somebody, the very basics, that looks after the everyday running of the person's sole trader or company's books, i.e. looking after, it can be all sorts of things. There's loads of things you can do within the role of bookkeeper. So balancing the bank is one of the main things. You can be inputting the purchase invoices, or typing up sales invoices on some occasions, making sure that all the regulations are followed with taxes and at least with VAT returns and stuff like that, and generally keeping your client in the know as to where the business is, are they doing okay, or helping out with just keeping in charge of all the paperwork. So it can vary dramatically. I mean, the old-fashioned way of being bookkeeping was literally just inputting figures into spreadsheets, or even writing it down. But now it's usually this day, and it's going to have to be digital stuff. It's going to be digital software because of in England anyway, HMRC are making digital accounting a necessity. So it's a much more modern way of doing it. And there's an awful lot of more that a bookkeeper can do these days, depending on how far they take their education. So how do you get started, and what would you have to do? Do you have to have experience? No, I've never done bookkeeping before, other than for myself. I've had various businesses, so I just done my own books very basically. And I think that was with a spreadsheet in the initial days. But yeah, you don't have to have experience in the UK, but you do need to have training. At least I'm sure there'll be people who are doing it with no training and no experience, but that's not a good idea. And it's, whether they can be caught out for being legal or not is a different thing. You have to have be supervised for money laundering by either HMRC themselves or by an institute or by a body. And that's very important. If you're working within a company, it's not such a big thing. But if you're becoming a bookkeeper for in your own right, then there are a lot of regulations, which I will go into in the pros and cons. So we've covered what is a bookkeeper very basically, and I'll discuss a few different things you can do with bookkeeping as I go along. But how you get started, no, you don't have to have a prior experience. The training, you can do all different sorts of ways. You can do it online by yourself with a body like the Institute. I have to mention the Institute of Certified Bookkeepers. Highly recommend becoming a member of that. You can do training with them directly or through online, or you can use an online school. And the one I did was Ideal Schools, and I will put you a link into them if you are interested in taking training. They're lovely. The main guy is called Brian. I ought to have tagged him in this, actually. I don't know how to do that. I will have a look here. Yes, I will try and do that as I'm talking. So yeah, you can do the training online. You can do it through an online school. I'm sure there will be still places that you can do it in person. There isn't anything local to me, but especially if you're living somewhere like London or somewhere in a big city, I'm sure there'll be places you can go and do it physically. Yeah, those are the main ways of doing the training. And then with the Institute of Certified Bookkeepers, you need to take their exams to become a member of the institute, and they're very stringent. So it's you can do most of the exams at home, but unless they've changed it since COVID, because it was a while back since I did mine, you have to go into an office space where they very strict on making sure you haven't got anything that can cheat, and to get your final exam for your practice license. So yes, you'll need I'm just going to do it through the proper professional way, how you do it with the Institute of Certified Bookkeepers, because that's what I did, and that's, I think, is the best way to go with an institute. There are others, but I think with others you can't go straight into doing your own business unless you've had experience with others, other working for somebody else or something. So the Institute of Certified Bookkeepers, you can go straight into having your own practice once you've done all the exams and you've got all your licenses, so you've got the qualifications. So you need to do your training, you need to pass your exams, then you get your practice license if you're working for yourself. If you're working for somebody else as a proper certified bookkeeper, then you don't need to get a practice license, but it's a good idea to become a member of the institute, so that you're covered by them, or it's just better to be a member. And you can obviously you can choose which institute you join, but anyway. So what are the pros of becoming a bookkeeper? Well, it's very flexible, both in the hours that you do. You can choose the hours that you want to work. So if you're coming to retirement and you want to, you have elderly parents you need to look after, or of course if you are a mum with kids, or a dad with kids, or any different things you wanted to do, you can do it around that. Plus you can also choose how many hours you work, as in by how many clients you take on and how much work you want to do. So very flexible, and there's no experience necessary, as I said before. So it can be done something from brand new, and I loved it. I loved doing the training, I have to say. It's not scary doing the exams. I absolutely loved it, and you get a lovely community as well within. Again, I'm speaking from my experience with the Institute of Certified Bookkeepers. You can there's a WhatsApp group for the local area. I don't know about the rest of it, but there's also the meetings and stuff like that. So although you're working by yourself originally, if you're just having a sole trader business, you've still got the support of the community. So I'm wanting to yawn, screaming, but not much sleep due to another story. But anyway, okay. So what are the cons? So the cons are you do have to do your training, and it can take a while. So the timeline here, it depends how much time you can put into doing the training, because you do a training, you do some not exams, but you do some reports, you do some, what's the word, like tests, and you send them in, some papers, send them in, and they get marked, and blah blah blah. It's to and fro, and then you have to do proper exams, and so it can take some time. If you are already doing something else, and you're doing it part time, it can take you a few months. Obviously, if you're doing it nothing else but that, then you can get through it a lot quicker. It can be, what I've found, it can be a stressful job or profession, because you have to be accurate in everything, and you have to make sure that everything is correct that you send. If you're doing VAT returns or whatever you're doing with your books, it has to be accurate, because although you'll be covered with your practice license, or sorry, the insurance, that's the other thing you need, then obviously you want to get it right, and you want to protect your profession and your own business. But if you if you're not sure about something, you can get help, but it can be a bit stressful when you're worrying about if you're doing something correctly or whatever. And of course, there's lots of red tape, especially the anti-money laundering. Anybody in ICB will, any members that I know, but we're all terrified of getting the anti-money laundering wrong. So you have to make sure, if you don't know what that is, you have to make sure you've got to not only get everybody's, all your clients' identity, ID documents and everything else, but you have to go through a whole plethora of red tape to make sure that your client isn't laundering money, i.e. fiddling taxes or doing anything they shouldn't be. And it's very, very strict, and you can get fines if you miss anything out. So that's something you really need to be strict on with yourself. Going to be doing another training on that shortly. I think tomorrow's we've got a training on it. The other thing that you can find is you can have difficult customers that don't want to pay, or that aren't happy with something. And I suppose that's the same with any business. So, but it's particularly if you're doing a lot of work for them and then they're not happy because they're just miserable people, and it can be a bit disheartening. But that is something that you need to manage straight from the beginning. You have to make sure you have your agreements set out when you start, and that there's no scope creep. You hired to do the bank rec, and you end up doing everything else, and it's not on there. So you need to manage that at the beginning, and make sure that everything is in place when you start, so that they're aware of what you're going to do, you're aware of what you need to do, and everything's good. So what else? So what do you need to do? Just to recap, obviously do your training, do your exams. You need to get a practice license if you're working for yourself. You need to become either an institute of, say, the ICB, or you need to get supervision for the anti-money laundering, which can be from HMRC or a different body, a governing body. and get all your contracts in. So to get your clients, that was hard at the beginning, but I think if you have a website, and I'll go through the different things you need, that's where I was getting a lot of inquiries from. So yeah, if you gone on costs, so just to run over costs quickly. So I've said most of them already, all the training, the exams, practice license, the institutes. Then you need to get your software. A lot of the software providers, most of them, I would say, give you as a practice license person or as a practice holder free software, and then you get your clients on board with the software, and they obviously pay for their part. But so really, there isn't much in terms of the software for the bookkeeping. But there's also things like what I use, auto entry, and then there's HubDoc, which is free with Xero, which is a software that collates the receipts and invoices and does that all automatically for you, but a bit AI like. But do say hi if you're on live, and I can give you a shout out. So there's the auto entry, or sorry, there's the software costs as well, which you could, again, you should either include in your costs to the client or encompass it so that it's not coming out of your money at the end of the day. And if you want any cards and your website, again, your website could be free. You don't have to have one, but it's another cost to consider. And as I said, I'd highly recommend it if it's just a one page, just so that people can see that you're a genuine person and you've got your training, and you get attraction. It attracts the clients basically. Okay, what have I missed? I think that's the most of the basics covered. So the things you can do other than the basic bookkeeping, if you do exams, you can do self-assessments, self-assessment tax returns for client. That's quite nice. You can do exams for payroll, which I think is useful. But again, that one, if it's a weekly payroll you're taking on, that means you have to be available each week, or unless it's the same each week, it's something to be aware of. And then you can do further exams to go on to do company accounts, or get involved more in company accounts, or with budgeting and stuff like that. There are more exams, but you can just start off with the basics. To be honest, if you weren't thinking of getting a practice, I would try and get as many of the exams you wanted to do before you started getting clients, because once you start getting clients, it's really hard to find the time to do any more exams. That's what I was going to do payroll. I started it twice and I didn't have time to do it in the end. So I just have my bookkeeping, practice license, and my tax exams. So you get more letters after your name as well. If you're in the institute, member of the ICB, MICB, on my name as well as my degree. So I'm getting more letters after my name than my name, because my name's only 7 letters long. So it's ridiculous. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. I haven't seen any questions live. If you do have any, as I say, do pop them in. And if you'd like to think about any more business ideas, if bookkeeping isn't something that takes your fancy, and I have to say it's been lovely with all my clients. There's been a few tasty ones in that are no longer. So if you are one of my clients now, don't worry about that, because it's not you. But it's really nice to be able to help people with their businesses, that they need to get on with their business, and the sort of the paperwork and everything else, it's just something that will distract them from it. But they need to know the figures and need to know what's going on with the business. So it is a nice business to do. But if it isn't something that you are interested in, then I have got a freebie, a PDF that you can download. Just ask for that in the comments, or you can go into my bio. And also, what was I just going to say? I can just tell you any more about this one if you wanted to. And that was it, a Facebook group. I have got a Facebook group for ladies that are interested in finding more options for a brilliant retirement. through the income stream. So there's lots of different things in there that I'll be doing each week, and I'd like to build that up as well. So please do ask to join, and I will definitely send you an invite. And I look forward to seeing you again next week at 7:15. Bye for now.